Through a three-parent conception, Anunnaki gene from Anu, and earthly matrilineage, this process cloned a new being in Sector 24 of planet Earth, the Adama project, fashioning pale-skinned Adamites from the red clay and blood of this world. Adam and Eve were born of a woman, as the Book of Job attests. Adam emerged in Hava, Sudan, on the 6th day of Tammuz in the year 3761 BCE, and Eve in Abzu, Zimbabwe, near the Nile's headwaters. Both were later moved to Punt Arabia and finally to Mecca, the enclosed garden of Becca. Nusku, Gabriel, first sought breeding permission from the rulers Adam, of the Cushite tribes, and Lilith. Upon their refusal, Enki overruled, binding dominion for 6,000 years and fashioning the new human from black mud, dried blood, and clay, activated by water. This Lulu Amilu, primitive worker race was designed for servitude, endowed with luminous reptilian hide and crowned with Anu's diadem. Crossbreeding with terrestrial fauna, canine, porcine, simian, reptilian, and Anunnaki stock produced the modern Homo sapiens lineage. The Anunnaki, retitled Elohim in the Hebrew scriptures and Al-Haadi in the Quran, served as deities to these new peoples. Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad received abridged revelations from them. Most original tablets remain hidden, preserving the fuller creation narrative. Humanity's divergent paths, East World carnivores living by faith and West World herbivores guided by facts, derive from this genetic mixing of Kushite and Pygmy lineages. Tribal leaders Zakar, Remembrance, Kadmon, moved eastward, Adapa, Learner, and Adam, Ruddy I, each echo stages in this saga. Over millennia, Anunnaki chemists such as Ptah and Sekhmet perfected Adapa's genome, spawning 30 sons and 30 daughters in his likeness, as Genesis 5:3 recounts. Eve's creation followed via bone marrow cell extraction while Adam slept. These first garden pairs were nurtured and observed until maturity, 21 for males, 18 for females, then dispatched to populate sealed laboratory habitats called Kadash, spreading from Mesopotamia outward. The 6,000-year dominion of Adam's faith-based race began around 4000 BCE and is prophesied to conclude between 2000 and 2060 CE, ushering in the next cycle of human development under galactic oversight. After preparing the altar for communication with Nibiru, Exodus 25:22, Mother Craft Nibiru communed with Anu. He asked Enki, "Have the people of this planet taken refuge with you this time?" Enki replied, "Yes." Anu then challenged him, "If they have taken refuge with me, Anu, rather than with you, Enki, Yahweh of the Elohim, Lord of the Anunnaki, why did you not spare him at his tomb?" Enki, Yahweh, Allah, answered, "Obedience to you, Anu, was more necessary than pity for him." Reflecting on creation, Genesis states, "And the earth was without form, and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." Genesis 1:2 KJV. Jeremiah adds, "I beheld the earth, and, lo, it was without form, and void, and the heavens, and they had no light." Jeremiah 4:23-28 KJV. And the psalmist declares, "God standeth in the congregation of the mighty, he judgeth among the gods." Psalms 82:1-8 KJV. Anu then proclaimed, "Depart, for I have now made you Anunnaki of death, in an etheric form, over the Adamite race. I have entrusted you with the power to take the souls of Adam and his seed." At these words, the Anunnaki Enki, now called Israel, began to weep. Among the children of Adam, the Adamites, Sethites, Enochites, Canaanites, and many others, there will be newsbearers who will hate me because of this. Yet Anu reassured Enki, "I will send so many complaints and diseases among them that they will not hate you, and none of their deeds will grieve you. Loud lamentations are forbidden, though weeping for the dead is permitted, yet patience is better." Enki then condemned the Adamite seed to remain bound to the earth after death, Revelation 18:2, trapped as specters, ghosts, orbs, phantoms, unable to rise above, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, "Babylon the great is fallen, for she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." Revelation 18:2 KJV. And again, "And there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, called the devil, and Satan. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation, and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony. Rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth." Revelation 12:7-12, 18-2 KJV. Truth remains truth. No faith can replace fact. Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind when everyone else seems to make progress? The answer lies plainly in the signs of our era, if only we open our mind's eye. Aboriginal peoples have reclaimed their own language, culture, religion, ancestors, deities, dress, and food. Asians have likewise revived their native tongue, traditions, faiths, and ancestral rites. American Indians dance their tribal dances, speak their languages, and honor their own deities. Arabs practice Islam, speak Arabic, and revere Allah. Yet the original people of this planet, Africans, refuse to return to their own heritage. We continue to speak others' languages, worship others' gods and ancestors, dress in foreign clothes, eat foreign foods, and marry outside our race, diluting our pure lineage. We remain under the hypnotic spell of the cursed seed of Adam, living by faith in false teachings and prayers to powerless deities. Your body is attuned to your own DNA and that of your ancestors alone, only they can truly hear and help you. As our genes diverge through mixing, they weaken. Darker skin signifies stronger genes and faster vibration, nature's original blueprint. Only the original African race has kinky, nappy hair, a sign of genetic strength. Africans, the oldest race, possess the strongest chromosomes and live the longest. According to Judeo-Christian Islamic texts, Adam, whose name means ruddy or reddish, was not black, brown, or yellow. He was the first of his kind, living 120 years as programmed by his extraterrestrial creators. Later, some were granted extended life by the Tree of Life. Over millennia, as Adam's descendants mixed, their lifespan shortened. By the time of Jesus and Muhammad, only thousands of years, not millions, had passed. The original Nordic white races have nearly faded. Today's Europeans are mixed Viking seeds. After the year 2080, 400 years past the last West African slave trade, there is now a frantic push to breed pure West African DNA. Europe is opening its borders to promote race mixing and stave off genetic extinction. Yet the first race on Earth, blacks, will be the last standing, and the last race on Earth, whites, will be the first to go. The real battles are not religious or political but genetic, fights over mitochondrial DNA and bloodlines. European descended peoples, unaware of these forces, simply don uniforms and obey orders to kill, claiming religion as their banner. Newly uncovered scrolls and archaeological finds expose many sacred stories, Jesus' supposed marriage and children, cannibalistic sons of God, and other myths, as fabrications. As more races reclaim their own heritage, the false narratives crumble. In 2018, the 6,000 years of Adam's calendar ended. Europeans fear the return of their overlords, yet redemption and destiny belong to those who awaken to truth. To the gossipers of old, whose myths endured until 2000 AD, and who clung to biblical and Quranic teachings, the end of 6,000 years under Adamite dominion, know this: you have been deceived by false religions imposed by white Caucasians and Arab rulers. Do not preach what you do not know. Reject ignorance and embrace truth. Act with sense, for you are of the original race. The Jews, Christians, and Muslims misunderstand the ancient ones who walked earth before Adam and Eve. Their traditions were grafted and distorted. They cannot grasp the divine, natural essence of original African humanity. Instead, they breed hybrids, neutrinoids, with corrupted bloodlines. We have a genetic system rooted in the laws of nature. Human DNA comprises 24 active chromosomes. The remaining 76%, so-called junk DNA, interacts with our consciousness as a fractal antenna, responding to space-time energy. Each species, each race, is shaped by its environment and beliefs. Yet only our lineage can fully awaken this latent potential. Modern science now confirms what we have always known: races differ not only in skin color but in blood type and chromosomal structure. The white Cro-Magnon Europeans originally carried Rh-negative blood and a unique set of chromosomes. The black race had only positive blood types and a distinct genome. Crossbreeding over the last 6,000 years has produced hybrids of both. As the curse of leprosy in Genesis 9:25 and Leviticus 13 attest, disease followed the mixing of races. Yet our divine race remains supreme. To reclaim our power, we must realign our genetics, draw the etheric cord, so the prayers of our ancestors may reach us. Now is the time of our salvation. Remember yourself. Sing your own song, in our language, with our rhythms and tones. Jews chant in Hebrew, Christians in Greek, Latin, or English, and Muslims in Arabic. We must find our song and voice. Until we do, we remain out of sync with ourselves and each other, echoing the chants of imposters and trusting the deceivers. We have been led into slavery, spiritually and mentally, for centuries. The Adamite race conceals more than it reveals. First came darkness, the dark angels, then light, the angels of light, and finally the emergence of Adam. This reminds us, wise are they who speak only what they know, cursed are they who speak what they do not. 6,000 years ago, In Tammuz, 3761 BCE, extraterrestrials called the Anunnaki, those who from heaven came to earth, created the pale Adamite race by mixing their own DNA with indigenous beings. These Adamites recorded their history in cuneiform on Sumerian tablets, recently translated, which reveal their true 6,000-year timeline. The Anunnaki gods bore many names. In Hebrew they were Elohim, Yahweh, and Adonai. In Greek they were Theos. In Arabic they were Al-Haadi or Allah. They descended to earth in luminous craft, kabod, and parceled out dominion, Yahweh over Mesopotamia, Enlil over the skies, and Enki over the waters and the mining of gold. Monotheistic scriptures affirm a single supreme deity. Deuteronomy declares, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." In John we read, "This is eternal life, that they know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ whom you have sent." The Quran states, "Say, He is Allah, the One." Humanity was permitted to invoke only one of these extraterrestrial patrons. Genesis records the first invocation, "Then began men to call upon the name of Yahweh." In his shining craft, Yahweh surveyed the primeval waters before setting about reshaping earth amid rivalries among the gods. Conflict among the Anunnaki is attested both in scripture and on the many Sumerian tablets. Under Enlil, the Igigi served, called cherubim in the Bible, under Enki, the Anunnaki. Before the Adamites, the first beings were the Sans people of South Africa, Tson in Hebrew, whom the Anunnaki initially harvested for food before interbreeding. Genesis 6:1-5 describes how the sons of God mated with the daughters of men, producing the Nephilim, giants up to 9 feet tall, cannibalistic tyrants denounced in both the Bible and Quran. Their wickedness provoked the Great Flood, after which only righteous lineages, such as that of Seth through Enoch, remained. Enoch, also called Idris, was a direct descendant of Adam who walked with God. Then he was no more, for God took him. Genesis 5:24. His book of Enoch expands on his journeys among the extraterrestrial gods and foretells the coming judgment. Thanks to newly translated stone tablets, such as the Atrahasis epic and the Epic of Creation, and discoveries like the Dead Sea Scrolls, we now see how the Old Testament, Tanakh, New Testament, and Quran all preserve fragments of this extraterrestrial saga. These texts conceal as much as they reveal, but the hidden truths are now coming to light. This is our foundation, the 6,000-year history of the Adamite race, created and overseen by extraterrestrial Elohim. There is a fundamental distinction between the experiences of Enoch and Elijah in ancient accounts. Both were taken up, but the reasons and implications behind these events vary. These individuals were selected by extraterrestrial beings to serve as guides for humanity, what ancient texts might refer to as God's flock. This is because the Adamite human was originally created as an alternative food source, not as an independent species. These extraterrestrial beings are known by various names. The Anunnaki are one such group, but this term itself is event-based, meaning those from Anu who came to Earth, rather than designating a specific race. The beings referred to as angels in religious texts are actually messengers, entities who serve different higher powers. Among these beings are the Draconians, Pleiadians, and others. Each group was associated with different functions and allegiances. Elijah, or Yah, was aligned with Enki, a prominent figure among the Anunnaki. The prophets received specific knowledge depending on their alignment. Different extraterrestrial races, such as the Dragonians, Pleiadians, and Anakim, have been identified in ancient Sumerian texts uncovered in 1945. These groups were not the same but worked in coordination or conflict depending on their missions. The Draconians held dominance over the Pleiadians at one point. In response, the Pleiadians created the Adamite as a form of germ warfare and an alternative food source to halt the predation of their own kind. These events occurred millennia ago, estimated between 8,400 and 6,000 years in the past, during the time of genetic grafting and manipulation. Existence itself predates our known creation. The universe we inhabit began 76 trillion years ago, according to the Master Teacher's teachings. This origin story starts with the explosion of the Sun, known as the Sun Sal, which birthed 19 galaxies. Yet even this was not the beginning. Before creation could occur, existence had to be present. In this cosmology, even nothing had to be created before something could be placed into it. This concept ties directly into modern physics and metaphysics, highlighting the relationship between condensed ether and atomic matter. At the atomic level, all matter is largely empty space. Beings like the Anunnaki, Pleiadians, and Draconians were not supernatural in the mystical sense but were instead very real and very natural, operating with technologies and knowledge far beyond ours. They physically interacted with early humans, mixing their genetics with terrestrial beings. This interbreeding led to the formation of various races on Earth, explaining differences not solely accountable by environmental factors. The Caucasus race, in particular, is said to have originated approximately 6,000 years ago. These individuals were the result of mixing albino East Indians with a group of beings called the Halabin or Flugerad. These mixed beings became known as the Mukasu and eventually moved into the caves. Light-skinned people in Latin America or native populations today are often the result of European colonization, not original genetic lines. The original peoples were darker-skinned, tracing their lineage back to African and Asian ancestry, including migrants like the Xin dynasty, who contributed to Mesoamerican civilizations like the Mayans and Olmecs. According to some Hebrew Israelite traditions, modern ethnic groups are associated with biblical tribes, Caucasians as Edomites and Asians as Moabites. However, others identify Caucasians as Canaanites. These classifications often stem from interpretations of ancient migrations and cultural overlays. The term Egyptians or even Mystery Babylon reflects how different people inhabited new lands and adopted or claimed those civilizations. The first man, Adam, according to this interpretation, was black. European or Canaanite people only emerged approximately 5,761 years ago and assimilated existing cultures through mixing and appropriation. The name Africa is relatively recent and politically charged. The original name of the continent was Ganawa. The word Africa comes from the Arabic term Faraka or Afrikia, meaning to separate. Arab slave traders introduced this term while speaking Swahili, a language derived from Arabic and Bantu. Thus, Africa was a term used to divide and control, reinforced through religious impositions like Islam, Christianity, and Hebrew doctrines. Regarding the Punic Wars, it remains unclear whether the Roman general Scipio Africanus was named after the land or vice versa. However, the etymological use of Africa in the context of Arab slave trading and colonization predates the Roman naming conventions. Lastly, on the origin of angelic beings, teachings suggest that these entities emerged from primordial waters and gases, predating physical matter. While we often look at creation as a point in time, existence moves in cycles. Creation operates like a circle, without beginning or end, except from the perspective of the Creator. This cosmological view presents the universe as a continuous unfolding, not a single linear event. The process of creation, the manipulation of genetics by extraterrestrial races, and the cycles of cosmic rebirth are all part of a greater narrative that stretches far beyond the confines of mainstream historical and scientific understanding. No race outside ours, European, Arab, or hybrid, originated these truths. All doctrines based on Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, or other biblical and Quranic figures are white and red fabrications, unsubstantiated, unverifiable, and unfit for our race. Beware the false prophets among you. They profit from holy fear, big business rituals, and invented dogma, preaching hell below, paradise above, yet offering no proof of either. They reject reincarnation yet believe in transfiguration. They claim divine communication yet never hear a response. They preach unity and love, yet commit atrocities in the name of God. Reject these outdated, misleading doctrines. Test each teacher by the fruits of their labor. Only those who teach exactly as written can be trusted. You are called home to our doctrine, perfected and revealed, as our websites and gatherings now testify. Put aside pride and deception. Embrace fidelity, compassion, and the unity of our race. The days of truth have come. Witness the fulfillment of Baba Yanun's prophecies, the rise of Sabians worldwide, and the power of his teachings. Ready or not, here he stands, the good Father who emerged from the primordial waters of noon, as Autumn Ray, our first point or resurrection, educating us to our zenith. Atun Ray, High Noon, the real deal, the warner, healer, reminder, reformer, guide, and supreme being for this day and time. You have clung to doctrines invented by others' ancestors, doctrines that deny your own heritage, while pretending to be him. Your wildest dreams amount only to self-indulgent pursuits of sexual gratification and debauchery. You have become promiscuous criminals whose ultimate aim seems to be regression, even as we advance in progress. You will watch us move forward while you dig graves of broken minds, ruined property, vast drug fields, and disease, all for what you attempted to do to your own people in service of the Caucasus. Did you ever pause to consider that, if the white man had him in custody, he would call him the problem? He was neither one thing nor the other, and yet they still attacked women and children on land they knew he no longer owned. Their plan was to kill black mothers and children, aided by those of you who believed you were helping. Afterward, Jake, Yaqub, used you, mentally and sexually, then left you with nothing. He never cared about you, you were merely tools in his scheme, along with the whites, to seize land owned by blacks. What do you have now for your services in destroying so many lives? Nothing but shame. Let the deceivers among the Adamites be silenced, for their lies and double-tongued deceptions served only the Caucasus, crafty, diabolical, and alien to our proud black nature. Such atrocities are not born of our people, who are naturally honorable. They spring instead from 6,000 years of Adamite wickedness, rebellion, and continuous evil, as chronicled in their own scriptures. He forgives you. Can you forgive yourself? Know this, the Mukasu race of devils holds sole dominion over deception and duplicity, yet their sins are not yours. Reject their faith-born ignorance. Embrace the true history unearthed in Mesopotamian tablets, the Gnostic Gospels, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and other ancient texts that expose the Bible's and Quran's omissions and distortions. Investigate for yourself. Acts 11:26 records the first use of Christian, yet hidden books like Barnabas reveal that Jesus did not die on the cross but escaped in another's form. Ask why some books appear only in Catholic Bibles, why chapters vanish from the Quran, and why Muhammad's wife Aisha spoke of pages lost to a donkey's appetite. Seek the lost pages, the records of Adam, Cain, Seth, and Abraham mentioned but never shown. Understand that Adam, ruddy, reddish, was created only in 3761 BC by Jewish reckoning, yet archaeology proves human life flourished in Africa millions of years earlier. Do not accept faith without facts. The fair-skinned Adamites emerged 6,000 years ago as killers and haters, Genesis 4:8, 3:15, corrupted by their own God's sons, Genesis 6:1-5. Jesus called them children of the devil, John 8:44, because their lineage was bound to falsehood. Their God demanded child sacrifice, Leviticus 17:7, Psalms 106:37-38, yet they never named themselves honestly. You were once part of a unified African world, divided only by continental drift and a great energy wall that separated herbivores from carnivores. That wall was broken when carnivores invaded, prompting the dinosaurs' extinction and an extraterrestrial quarantine lasting cycles of 24,000 years. During that time, positive-blooded Africans sheltered under the earth in South Africa, while negative-blooded Europeans remained above, until Rh-negative Cro-Magnon broke free, mixing bloodlines and sowing further corruption. Right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, rooted in our own African teachings, can save you, not the Bible or the Quran imposed by Arabs and Europeans. Only your true savior, Baba Yanun, can guide you to freedom. Wake up from the hypnotic grip of self-rejection and white approval. Embrace your land, your names, your culture, and your history. Remember that America and Africa were once one land. Stand with us, the Melanite children of the first world, and be truly free. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Break the spell of ignorance, investigate the real facts, and reclaim your rightful place as the original people of the earth. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed, for God made man in his own image. Genesis 9:6. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion." So God created man in his own image, male and female he created them. Genesis 1:26-27. You shall not kill. Exodus 20:13, Deuteronomy 5:17, Matthew 5:21. No exception or exemption is ever granted. To execute, to judge a death sentence, to assist in abortion or war, any human who orders or carries out the taking of another's life is, by God's law, a murderer. When Adam's descendants violated this first command, beginning with Cain's murder of Abel, Genesis 4:8, their spirits were barred from heaven and trapped on earth as ghosts, specters, or orbs. Likewise, the angels who rebelled with Satan were cast down, the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent. And his angels were thrown down with him. Revelation 12:8-9. These fallen spirits remain bound until the millennial reign. Then I saw an angel with the key to the bottomless pit. And he laid hold on the dragon, and bound him 1,000 years. Revelation 21:3. Angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he is reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. 2 Peter 2:4, Jude 1:6. In those days, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair, and they took them wives. The same became the mighty men of old, men of renown. Genesis 6:1-4. Here we see Adam's race mingling with fallen sons of God, producing giants, Nephilim. After the flood, humanity scattered, Babel was built and confused, and the races divided, Genesis 11:1-9. From 4000 BC to AD 2000 marks 6,000 years of humanity's dominion, Genesis 1:28. At AD 2000, the 1,000-year millennium begins, restoring true dominion to Adam's race, and he blessed them, and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion." Genesis 1:28. Every life taken, by judge, executioner, soldier, police officer, or abortionist, is a murder to be judged. No uniform, rank, or office grants exemption. Those who kill must repent before death, lest their spirits be damned, reborn repeatedly, or trapped as lost souls. Everything in nature vibrates. If you force something to vibrate at its resonant frequency, it will shatter, for example, a wine glass. This holds on physical, mental, and spiritual levels. Physical resonance can heal or harm, for example, cancer from improper frequencies. Mental resonance can break the mind into insanity. Spiritual resonance, through focused intent, prayer, chant, meditation, can agitate inner energies to heal, transform, or even shapeshift temporarily. True mastery requires purity of body and mind, no blood meat, drugs, excessive tattoos, or other defilements that detune your innate matrix. Restoring your natural vibrational state, through diet, abstinence, and spiritual practice, reactivates latent divine powers. Before Moses, Adam's original religion resembled Hinduism. After Moses, Judaism, Abraham introduced Zoroastrian roots. Muhammad restored Abrahamic monotheism. Quran 2:130-136. All prophets, from Abraham through Jesus to Muhammad, affirm the same one God, though names and rites shifted. Underlying it all are the same extraterrestrial gods who cast their image into humanity. Genesis 1:26-27. Humanity's DNA has been seeded by these extraterrestrial overlords. Negative spirits can attach in the womb. 4 generations of ancestry carry karmic resonance. Those who kill, even in uniform, carry spirit attachments that can haunt them into madness or suicide. Positive transformation requires being born again into divine resonance, rejecting the beast in your blood. Animism teaches that all is vibration, not mere material density. Collective resonance, mass prayer or chanting, amplifies results, entanglement. Negative rituals, hatred, curses, or satanic rites, also work by vibration but draw from lower realms and rebound harm onto the user. Ultimately, the war between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent, Genesis 3:15, plays out in every mind and body. No human authority may set aside the command "Thou shalt not kill" under any circumstances. Every life taken is a divine offense. We must honor our creation in God's image, walk by faith, and reclaim our vibrational heritage to overcome both physical and spiritual death. Revelation 2:9 states, "I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan." This implies that those who are by nature negative and use their power for evil, not good, engage in dangerous actions that can result in adversity. The current world chaos is attributed to negative polarity alien entities who influence their own creation. These entities are referred to in the Bible and Quran as Elohim, Anakim, Anunnaki, Draconians, Arcturians, and Pleiadians. They are listed with Hebrew, Chaldean, and Akkadian names that change with language, such as cherubim, Exodus 25:20, Genesis 3:24, Anakim, Deuteronomy 1:28, Gibborim or Nephilim, Genesis 6:4, Emim, Genesis 14:5, Seraphim, Isaiah 6:2, Malachim, Genesis 19:1, and Watchers or Iridium, Daniel 4:13, 4:17, 4:23. These beings are often described as giants, or having 6 fingers, 6 toes, and wings, and are referred to as Kamalu aliens. Many of them, like the chariots of Psalm 68:17, meaning thousands of angels, have been visiting this planet for millennia. Modern society is now beginning to accept the reality of extraterrestrials, acknowledging that not all people on Earth share the same DNA. It is recognized that the original San people of South Africa have positive blood types, while negative blood types emerged later with Nordic and European mixing, often due to historical rape, which also explains the presence of Rh-negative blood types among some black individuals. Originally, the black race had positive blood types, and the white race had negative blood types. The Negroes, Negaru, Caucasoids, Caucasu, and Red Arabs are distinct humanoid species. The Arab race resulted from a Caucasoid male, later called Abraham, raping a Nagar female, Hagar, Genesis 16:1-15. This mingling produced the first Adam, a word meaning mix or mingle, Strong's number 6151. This offspring, Ishmael, Genesis 16:15, then took a Nagar wife, Genesis 21:21, establishing the Arab species, Genesis 25:12-18. These facts are now being revealed, indicating a shift from natural to unnatural nature. Many individuals within the speaker's own race are currently influenced by religions such as Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, which involve speaking in tongues, invoking spirits, 2 Corinthians 11:14, Acts 2:4. 1 Corinthians 14:1-9 and 14:39 advise seeking spiritual gifts, particularly prophecy, as speaking in unknown tongues is speaking to God and oneself, while prophesying edifies the church. The passage suggests that speaking in tongues without interpretation is unclear and unhelpful. These religions teach that angels appear as fire, lightning, or burning bushes, transforming into the Holy Ghost, which is pure spirit. Their God, Allah, is described as light or fire that possesses them, causing them to speak in unknown tongues, altering their natural state into an alien-tuned vibration as these entities take over their bodies. Calling on the Arabic Allah or the foreign gods of Hebrews and Arabs aligns one's being with their frequency, leading to unanswered prayers. Wu-Sabat exists to realign and return people to their own alien/extraterrestrials with their own tongue. While all individuals are capable of evolving and transforming, not all will accept the teachings presented. Many are under a spell of ignorance, preferring fictional beliefs, loving illusion, and hating truth. They serve wicked aliens and their offspring, who offer immediate gratification and promise pleasure in a heavenly afterlife in exchange for faith, leading individuals to follow lower desires, lose their souls, and fail to make it. However, studying these teachings can lead to an inner transformation, activating secret glands like the pineal, pituitary, thyroid, and thymus. This awakening of dormant divine potentials breaks a hypnotic spell cast upon the race by female Enashites, Genesis 6:1-5, as revealed in the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees. The Book of Enoch, 1 Enoch 7:1-11, 7:10, and Quran, 1956, Idris, indicate that fallen angels cohabited with the daughters of Enosh, teaching them wicked witchcraft, sorcery, incantations, and the dividing of roots and trees. These daughters of men, Genesis 6:2, were described as fair, 1 Samuel 17:42, Song of Solomon 5:10, meaning blonde, reddish, pale, or white, indicating they were white women. This race of witches, descended from Adam and Eve through Cain and Seth to Enosh, Genesis 5:1-6, cast a spell of ignorance upon humanity. The text asserts that Malachi 3:5 and 4:2 predicted judgment against sorcerers, adulterers, false swearers, oppressors, and those who mistreat the vulnerable, promising healing and growth for those who fear the Lord's name. The way of healing and breaking the spell lies in accepting factual truth. The concept of rapture is discussed in the context of evolution and transformation. The greatest danger for those capable of such change is refusing to accept and realign to ascend, as they risk being harvested. John 4:34-35 describes Jesus' mission as doing God's will and finishing his work, noting that the fields are white already to harvest. Romans 12:1 further instructs believers to present their bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. Leviticus 10:12-13 details the eating of meat offerings by priests, which is then linked to Revelation 19:16-21, describing a great supper where the flesh of kings, captains, mighty men, horses, and all men are eaten, implying the return of flesh and blood aliens. Genesis 18:1-8 recounts Abraham hosting 3 men, including the Lord and 2 angels, who ate a calf, butter, and milk. The text points out that the Hebrew words used for the calf, Strong's numbers 1121 and 1241, refer to bovines, while the word for sheep, Strong's number 7716, was not used for Abel's offering in Genesis 4:2-4. Instead, Strong's number 6629, Zon or son, meaning migration, was used, implying that Abel was keeping people, specifically the migrating Sans people of South Africa, referred to as Lulu in Sumerian, meaning flock or sheep, to feed their gods. These extraterrestrial Elohims are described as eating black people/Africans, whom Jesus called lost sheep, Matthew 10:6. This is presented as their rapture, which began in Nome, Alaska, in 2000 AD. Humans and animals have allegedly been abducted for 6,000 years as food or a sweet savor by these aliens, predating the creation of the Adamites, circa 3761 BC. The Sans people of South Africa were harvested and called Lulu, flock/sheep. Before the flood, Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel were commanded to be vegetarian, Genesis 1:29, but after the flood, meat, fish, and fowl were permitted, though blood was prohibited, Genesis 9:3-4. However, their gods required their blood, Genesis 9:5, yet humans were not to kill each other as they were in the image of their makers, Genesis 9:6. The text claims their God enjoyed the sweet savor of cooked flesh, Genesis 8:21, and that all people can be a sweet savor to God, 2 Corinthians 2:15-16, implying that both the living and the dead are consumed. Like Komodo dragons eating carcasses, lizard men are foretold to emerge from the earth, Quran 27:82. This suggests that humanity is a form on the aliens' menu, as echoed in Psalm 23, which is interpreted as describing humans being led like livestock. UFO abductions, involving human and animal trafficking for slave labor and food, are facilitated by world government leaders working with aliens. This practice, likened to farmers using bovines for market, is presented as a means of population control, preventing overpopulation as seen from the 13th to 20th centuries. Keeping humans in ignorance, like cows grazing in a field, allows for their eventual slaughter. Earth is considered a form, where a shepherd, presumably the aliens, separates different humanoid types, which has led to world chaos due to violations of these distinctions. There is a plan to remove carnivorous humanoids from the planet, similar to what occurred during the time of dinosaurs. The phenomena described are not limited to one race due to extensive race mixing. Many individuals from mixed lineages who choose to serve the beast, receive its mark, DNA and blood type, and worship its image will also be removed. Geneticists refer to chromosomes and DNA as markers, implying that the mark of the beast is a DNA marker affecting individuals physically, spiritually, and mentally. For NWPUians, the fundamental understanding is that everything operates on vibrations, contrasting with conventional science's view of material matter or religious beliefs in miracles or a magical god. Both scientists and theologians are considered dreamers who prioritize their jobs over seeking actual facts and analyzing new evidence that might challenge their misinformation. NWPUians, practicing animism, question everything and do not accept things at face value. For instance, regarding Allah, NWPUians inquire about its nature, composition, location, gender, and origin, rather than simply accepting who it is. The Quran, 112:1, states He Allah is one, indicating Allah is male. However, if Allah is male, He must possess XY chromosomes. When confronted with this, believers deny Allah is human, male, or female, contradicting their own texts like Quran 112:1 and Genesis 2:8, which refer to He. This critical inquiry, seeking factual confirmation and truth, distinguishes NWPUians. Similarly, regarding God's visibility, despite Exodus 33:20 stating one cannot see God's face, Exodus 33:11 mentions God speaking to Moses face to face. This contradicts John 1:18, no man has seen God at any time, and Quran 2:55, belief in the unseen. NWPUians demand facts. If God can be seen, what is He made of? Where is He? How old is He? And who made Him? This pursuit of right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding leads to right reasoning, emphasizing fate over faith, as truth is truth and no faith can replace fate. Understanding that everything has a resonance frequency and vibrates at different rates would grant one deity-like knowledge, becoming the all in all. This concept of the all is, I am, signifies an inherent truth, suggesting that belief alone will not bring relief.